What happens when you ignore your purpose? Not your responsibilities, not your bills, not your job. I mean the thing you've been thinking about for years. The business, the book, the move, the conversation, the dream. The thing that keeps tapping you on the shoulder every few months and asking, are we ever going to do this? Because according to one of the most influential books ever written, ignoring it may cost you more than failing at it. And stay till the end, because the story behind this book's publication completely changed the way I think about rejection. The baker. One of the most important moments in The Alchemist happens surprisingly early. Santiago meets an old king, and the king tells him about something called a personal legend, a purpose, a calling, a thing you're meant to pursue. Then he gives an example, a baker. The baker wanted to travel. The baker dreamed of adventure, but instead of becoming a shepherd and seeing the world, he became a baker because it felt safer, more respectable, more practical. And that's the first warning hidden in this book. Most people don't abandon their purpose because they're lazy. Most people abandon their purpose because they're sensible. The dream just gets delayed, then delayed again, then delayed a little bit more, until eventually the delay becomes a lifestyle. And one day, they wake up to discover they've built a life around avoiding the thing they actually wanted. The tragedy isn't failure. The tragedy is never finding out. The crystal merchant. Santiago eventually finds work for a crystal merchant. And this is where the book became uncomfortable for me. Because the merchant already knows what he wants. A dream of travelling to Mecca. He dreams of fulfilling his calling, but he never goes. Not because he can't, but because he's afraid. He's afraid that if he achieves his dream, there'll be nothing left to hope for. And I think that's one of the most honest things ever written. Sometimes we're not afraid of failing. Sometimes we're actually afraid of succeeding. Because if we finally write the book, start the business, release the music, make the move, then we lose the excuse. The dream becomes real. And real things can be judged. Real things can fail. The merchant chooses certainty. And in doing so, sacrifices possibility. The desert. The desert in The Alchemist isn't just a place. Like the Bible, it's a metaphor. The desert is a difficult stretch between where you are and where you want to be. The desert is rejection. It's uncertainty. The desert is being laughed at. The desert is posting videos nobody watches. The desert is writing chapters nobody reads. The desert is showing up before the results arrive. And here's the thing, everyone wants the treasure. Nobody wants the desert. But the desert is where Santiago becomes capable of finding the treasure. Without the desert, he's still just a shepherd. The hardship wasn't an obstacle. It was preparation. The Alchemist. Santiago finally meets the alchemist himself. And the alchemist doesn't give him shortcuts. He doesn't remove the struggle. He doesn't hand him answers. Instead, he keeps pushing Santiago forward, again and again, because purpose cannot be inherited. It has to be lived. Nobody can walk your road for you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your friends, not your favourite creator, not even a book. A book can point, a mentor can point, a teacher can point, but eventually you have to be the one to take the steps. The treasure. Then comes the twist. The treasure is real. But it isn't where Santiago expected. In fact, the treasure was connected to where he began, and that's the genius of the story. The gold matters, but it isn't the point. The point is that the shepherd who left home is not the same person who returns. And we know this one. For no man steps in the same river twice, for he is no longer the same man, and it is no longer the same river. The real treasure wasn't waiting in the ground, it was waiting inside him. The journey changed him, the failures changed him, the people changed him, the desert changed him. The treasure simply revealed what the journey had already created. And that's the lesson I think most people miss. Purpose isn't a destination. Purpose is a direction. You don't suddenly arrive and become fulfilled forever. You become someone new through pursuing it. The gym changes you. Writing changes you. Parenthood changes you. Building changes you. The treasure isn't the reward. The treasure is the person you're becoming. Now, remember what I promised at the beginning? When Paulo first published The Alchemist, it failed. The publisher dropped it. Sales were terrible. Almost nobody cared. Imagine that. The man who would eventually write one of the most beloved books in the world was told nobody wanted it. Most people would have stopped. Most people would have taken that rejection as proof. Proof they weren't good enough. Proof it wasn't meant to be. Proof that the dream was unrealistic. Instead, he continued, and eventually, another publisher picked it up, then another, and then another, and today the book has sold tens of millions of copies, translated into dozens of languages, read all over the world. Imagine if he'd listened to the first rejection. Maybe purpose isn't some mystical force. Maybe it's simply the thing that won't leave you alone, the thing that keeps returning, the thing that keeps tapping you on the shoulder, the thing you keep thinking about when nobody's watching. Maybe the real question isn't whether you've found your purpose. Maybe the real question is, how much longer are you willing to ignore it? Make impact beautiful.